Welcome to Curious Salma. My guest today is Shimaz Rafique. Shimaz is a Sri Lankan expat living in Dubai for a year. She has always been interested in international relations and global affairs and wishes to pursue a career in it one day. So I went to a few networking events for a ladies group. This is where I met Shimaz. She struck me as a gentle and resilient soul, and I was so sure that she had a lot of incredible stories to tell. I'm so thrilled to have Shimaz with me today on the podcast. Hi, Shimaz.
Hi, Salma. I'm so pleased and honored to be a part of your podcast. I've never been on a podcast before. So, I'm just excited and curious to see how it's going to go.
Thank you so much. I love when people say that. I want to ask you first, what are you curious about?
I would say I'm curious about a lot of things, but mostly anything related to international relations, global affairs. But all in all, I think I'm someone who would love to, learn as much as I could. So any kind of topic is of interest to me. I don't have a specific region as per se, but when it comes to international relations, what I like about international relations is because it's a area of study which teaches you everything in as a whole, like be it economics, be it geopolitics, be it history, be it trade and strategies, like how countries interact with each other and what are the strategies, what is diplomacy, so how do they deal with global issues. And I feel, although it is somewhat separate from business or whatnot, I feel there are a lot of things which you could learn and use even in your day-to-day life, or even in your career. There's a lot that you could take from international relations.
So, when you joined the group that I joined where we met,
Mm-mm.
did you join because you wanted to network or you wanted to mingle or you wanted to promote your business? What was the reason?
Why I joined the group was basically, especially since we are in Dubai, I know there's a huge expat community here. There are people who come from different walks of life, right? Different backgrounds, right? And then different countries. And if you're from a different, country, you have a certain culture, you have certain ways of doing things. And this is something that interested me, and I thought, why not join the group, get to know people, understand, listen to their stories, life experiences, which I could use in the sense, like, for my personal growth, like the way how I see the world would be different from another person's perspective, right? So mingling with these kind of people gives you the opportunity, or sort of gives you a different take on the world.
Like the exciting part for me when we became friends from the group is that you're from Sri Lanka. You're the first person I meet from Sri Lanka, like, and become friends. And yeah, I have to admit, I know very little about Sri Lanka. I just know that it's a very popular tourist destination. It has a lot of amazing, greenery and stuff like that, and temples. But that's about it, I guess. So it was exciting that I will get to know more about your country and your culture and all. But also, like, hearing your story, which, although we're from different worlds, and like cultures and all, but like being able to connect somehow to your story and find great resilience in your life up to this very moment, and still you manage to have a very calming presence, and a very gentle soul. I don't want to get much into your story if you're not willing to share, but like, how did you manage to find resilience generally with whatever you've been through?
Just to tell you, like, you're actually my first Egyptian friend, to be honest. So I'm glad that I actually joined the group.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, Sri Lanka is a beautiful country, and I think someday you should visit. It's rich in culture. The cuisine is actually delectable. It's amazing. And then there are like so many places to visit. If you want actually the beaches, there's the beach. Then if you want the hills, there's the hills. And then there's wildlife. And then there's a cultural side where you could see all the old kingdoms, I mean, the ruins of the kingdoms. So, about my story, actually, I really don't have any problem in sharing. For me, I think sharing it with people would sort of go a long way in terms of helping someone who is going through a similar situation. So, I've been a domestic violence survivor for 24 years. I've been going through this, right? So, there's a lot that has happened where I really did not have the liberty to make my own choices in terms of education, in terms of career, in terms of, I think, literally everything about my life. I didn't know that whatever that was happening to me was wrong because this was done by a family member to me. And you always think, okay, if a parent behaves a certain way or sort of beats you up, it's because for your own good, right? But I think the turning point for me was when I was 16 years old, and I clearly remember I was this bright child, who used to get selected for all these extracurricular activities in school. So I was into drama, I was into, everything, all literary stuff, a very bubbly, vibrant character, I would say. So sometimes when you get selected for these extracurricular activities back in school, we had to stay after school for practices. If we had competitions, obviously we would have to stay after school and practice. There would obviously be a teacher, but my father used to beat me up like every time I had to, like go home probably a bit late, mostly because I had to stay after school for practices, not for anything else. I had other friends who were very shy and they never took part in anything, right? And their parents, they always used to like come and tell me like, Shimaz, I know you take part in all of these things, why don't you just take her along with you? I want my child also to be like you. So I was sort of shocked, like when I used to get beaten up by my father for getting selected for such stuff, and then having to stay after school. Because if it was some other parent, they would be really proud and they would like give it their all, support them. For me, it was nothing as such. For me, it's like I go home late, I get beaten up. So then I was thinking, like, why is this happening to me? What wrong have I done? I'm just getting selected for something is because I'm good at it, right? So it is something that he needs to be happy about and sort of support me in that or encourage me to do better, right? Not sort of, like sort of beat me up, intimidate me. It's not the way to go. And then I clearly remember my mother calling one of my teachers in tears and sort of pleading, asking the teacher not to select me for anything going forward, because she was like, she doesn't come and tell you all, but she comes home late because of practices and then she gets beaten up, and I don't want my child going through this. And it was very abusive, a very toxic environment back at home for me. Like kids, who were in the same age as me, they would literally wait, for the school to end so that they could run home, and they would wait for holidays to come so that they could spend time at home, be with family, enjoy their vacation or whatnot. For me, it was the other way around. I dread going back home because for me, home was not home. It was a totally different hellhole. So it was not only school, I was also sort of restricted from mingling with my own cousins. I clearly remember I was doing my ordinary levels and I went to the exam center, I did my exam, and I was coming back home. And I was walking down the lane. So my maternal grandmother lives just 4 5 houses away from my home, and so I clearly remember my cousins were at my grandmother's house that particular day, and they were playing cricket or something on the road. So I just happened to pass by because I had to pass my grandmother's home and then go to my house, right? So I was just passing by, and so my cousins, they stopped me. They were actually male cousins. They stopped me and they asked me, okay, so how was your exam and all of that. So I was just telling them, I was just giving them my experience and all of that. And probably I would have been speaking to them probably like for 20 minutes or something. So my father would always mark the time. So let's say if the exam ends at 4 p.m. in the evening, I get about half an hour to come home. And if I get late more than that, I get beaten up. So I clearly remember even that day I got beaten up. And the next day I had my maths exam, and I got 11 slaps on my face. And I clearly remember going with a swollen, face to the exam next day. So I think whatever that was happening to me was wrong. I felt it clearly because I saw how other parents treated their kids, how they loved them. I did not do anything wrong. Since I was not allowed to mingle with my own cousins, so for me, the escape was because my home was like a prison to me, right? So I was just confined to four walls in my room. For me, the escape was to just read books, right? And write down my thoughts in a book. Or probably I'm not very good at writing poems and stuff, but I started doing that as well. I just started writing poems because I really needed not vent, to be able to share this pain with someone, but I really didn't have anyone. So then what was the thing that I could do? Just write it down. So that's what I did. And I thought someday all this is going to be okay and I'm not going to give up. No matter what happens to me right now, I thought, and I also had this thing in my mind where I clearly had this very strong intention. No matter what happens to me, I will not turn out to be like my father. I will not be like him, and whatever that I've gone through in my life, it has only made me more stronger, compassionate, and I would say empathetic. Having such abuse coming from a family member was shocking, because your family members should be the ones to protect you, should be people who gives you comfort, who gives you strength. But for me, I really didn't have anyone to support me or to give me strength. I had to figure it out on my own. I had to raise myself on my own. But I think because of this adversity, I had a lot of me time, because like I told you, I was restricted. I was not allowed to go out or mingle with my cousins. Friends did not come over. You won't believe me, I've never ever had a sleepover in my whole life with my girl, my best friend in school. I've never ever had a sleepover. So I missed a lot on those stuff. Like when I see today, when girls have their own girl time, chatting and have sharing their secrets or whatnot. I really did not have any of that. But I thought someday I will build my life. I will be compassionate, I will be kind. I'm not going to be a person who is abusive like him. And but still, even though he did all of that to me, I've forgiven him. I don't hate him. What he did to me was wrong. I don't quite agree, or I don't condone that. It is for my own sake, for my mental sanity and my peace. I've forgiven him. But I'm someone who does not forget. It's not because I'm cussed. It's not because I'm a hypocrite, like having something inside and showing something outside. It's not me. But why I say that I don't forget is because I've gone through so much. I don't want to fall into that trouble again, so I sort of keep it as a reminder so that I deal with such people cautiously. That's it. Because I think it's fair enough, right? You've been through so much. Because I mean, going through abuse for 24 years is not a small period, it's a long period. And you get so accustomed to it, sometimes when it ends, you're still having those anxiety issues, all of that, and it's very hard for you to get out of it, because you've been going through that for 24 years and you can't just get out of it like in a blink of an eye. That's not how it works. Even to date, I have anxiety sometimes. So for me, I think how I found resilience is basically, I knew things were going wrong for me, but I thought someday I will get out of it and I will build my life up. And it was the maturity that I had, because I was exposed to issues at a very younger age in my life, and I think I matured way more than I was supposed to. But I think that has only sort of helped me in terms of my life, my career, whatever that I've done. I think it has only just made me stronger, made me more compassionate, made me more empathetic. And I also believe sometimes you need to go through adversity so that it can bring the best out of you. And I think I sort of found my resilience through that. And also, just because he did whatever he did to me, I did not treat him the same way. And that's one thing that I would like to say as well. I mean, some people, you go through something, someone does something wrong to you, and then what happens is you would want to do the same thing to the person who caused you the hurt just to get back. But what I would say is that if you choose to do that, out of anger, out of anything, you should not do that, because then it will not it will not make you different from the person who has caused you hurt, right? So you have to go above and beyond that. You should not uh, fall into that level. That's what I would say. But it's okay to like sort of be distant for your own well-being. That's totally fine. But I don't believe in causing hurt in return for what you've gone through, the kind of pain that you've gone through. I don't believe in that. I believe that the way to fight it is to be a good human by being empathetic, compassionate, and kind.
I'm speechless. Thank you so much for sharing everything. You have no idea how inspiring you are, I think. Just by you mentioning how this hasn't affected your soul, and that when you talked about poetry and you talked about you writing on your own, you reminded me of one of my favorite TED Talks ever. It's by Ethan Hawke. He was talking about how you should let your creativity don't kill it and all, and he was saying how people will go in life till they go through a heartbreak or a hard time or whatever, and that's when they wonder if someone else has faced something like that, and they look for poetry and they look for art, and then it becomes a way of sustenance. It's not like a luxury. It's not for fancy people who know about art. No, it's very important for survival. And listening to what you were saying, it seemed like you resorted to art and you resorted to writing and poetry and all as a means of surviving the tough times that you were going through. I believe in my heart that it's one of the things that kept your soul gentle and kept you empathetic and compassionate instead of resorting to violence as well. Anger is a very, very contagious emotion, I feel. And the fact that I am talking to you right now and finding this calmness and peace from you, while I don't know if I don't know, I think I would be very, very, very angry, I think I am sometimes angry by stuff that I've been through or whatever. So I'm really impressed by you in general.
Thank you so much.
And I want to know now, now in the present, you're married, right?
I am.
How long have you been married?
2.5 years.
How did you meet your husband?
So I met him at my first job. So I worked in a bank. That was my first job. He was in a different department. I was in different department, but the departments were located, next to each other. So we used to, like meet in the sense like, so that's how I met him. At first, it was not a relationship actually, it was a good friendship that we had. We were friends first, and he had his he was dating other girls and women. I was just his friend back then. And then later on, I think after a couple of years, probably 2 years down the line, then yes, it we started a relationship. So yeah, so the basis is basically friendship.
This is amazing. I think the best relationships are the ones that start as friendship first.
Correct.
There is a foundation for it.
Correct.
I think you mentioned to me that your husband is really supportive of your ambitions and dreams in general, right?
Yes, he is. So, to be honest, like when I was living with my father, I had an extremely restricted life. Like I told you, even when I got through my ordinary levels and then for advanced levels, we had to choose a stream with it. So, I really wanted to do law, politics, because I felt, that's what suits me better. But my father did not allow me to choose what I wanted to do. So, it was all dictated. So, I think after I got married, I actually, I actually completed my degree. He supported me. And then, in addition to that, I also started international relations. And, I never thought that I would fall in love with this area of study. And I'm so happy and glad that I actually, started something in this area. And I felt this is what I'm passionate about. It was like extremely fulfilling, because for a very long time you were not able to, I was not able to do things that I wanted to do. So my husband sort of gave me the freedom, and he was like, now you have no restrictions. I'm not your father. I'm not going to, imprison you or like sort of expect these certain things from you just because you're my wife. So you can just go and pursue whatever you want.
So he treated you as his partner.
Correct. He treated me as his partner. And I think he sort of pushes me to be better, like improve myself. To be honest, just to tell you the truth, I was never into fitness, never worked out before. So he's the one who got me into working out as well. So now I just follow, a little bit here and there. I'm not like a very huge fitness freak or anything, but just, like very light workouts at home. That's what I do. But he is the one who got me into that as well. And he would never question me like, okay, did you clean the house, did you do this, did you do that? That's not what his question would be to me. He would ask, what did you learn today?
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. So he's someone who likes to see me thriving and flourishing, because he believes that I could do well, and it was just that my circumstances were not, good enough, or I was not in a proper environment to pursue everything that I needed to. So he constantly and continuously pushes me to do better, and he supports me in that sense. So I'm very happy and lucky, I would say, and blessed in a way to have him as my husband.
Kudos to your husband for being your supportive partner and your cheerleader. I can see from your smile now, and I love that. I really love that. What was the best moment of your life?
So far, I would say a couple of things actually. I come from a developing country, but it is now changing, in terms of this cultural, like traditions, cultural, barriers or whatnot. I think we are now progressing, but there are certain barriers, which are prevalent even today. When I got married, and so we had this tradition, like after getting married, you need to go visiting, you have to go and visit your relatives. So then the first question was, okay, when are you going to have a baby and all of this nonsense, right? And my husband, his answer to that was, no, no, we are not going to think about that. She's going to study now. and,
Oh.
and that was like a slap across the face. And they were like, what studying after getting married? Now you're a family, you have to, like sort of grow your family and all of that. And then he was like, no, no, this is what she wants to do. So I support her. She wants to study. So that's what she's going to do. Simple as that. So, and some people, they even sort of discouraged me. Like, they said, oh, how are you going to manage a household? How are you going to, study when you're married and all of that? So for me, the biggest accomplishment or the best moment is like when I got the results of my degree. That was one of the best moments. The other best moment is obviously, getting married to my husband, being able to build that relationship, because obviously if, when you're in a relationship you're still not living together, right? But so I got married to him and then I moved in with him, and it was a totally different life for me,
Mm-hmm.
especially after living in a very constricted environment, restricted abusive environment.
Mm.
It was like a new life for me. So I think these are the two best moments in my life so far.
You were able to leave that environment and just get again, continue with your life, evolve and make up for a lot of things and all. Were you able to connect or to relate to other domestic violence survivors? Were you able to help anyone? I mean, just by talking and sharing your pain, I think it's in a way making someone feel that they are not alone. So were you able to do that?
Yes, I have. So basically, in my international relations class, so we were sort of grouped into different groups for group projects, right? So there was this girl, I still remember, she was very quiet. And I know if someone's very quiet and, who's like very silent, there's something going on. I'm not saying that it's going to be that way for everyone. I mean, there are people who are living a wonderful life, but they're still silent. But I think it's more or less like the kind of
You
vibe that
just
you
knew.
get. Yeah, I just knew. So I saw her and I felt there's something going on. And then, so the best way to get a victim to talk is by basically sharing your experience. Because the reason why they don't share is because there is a lot of shame, stigma associated with it, right? The moment you come and say, look, I've been a victim of this abuse, domestic violence or whatnot, people kind of tend to look at you in a totally different way, right? And some people, they even don't like to hear the word victim, and they kind of feel like if you say that you're a victim, that, oh, this is a weak person. For me, it's not weakness. It's about, you're going through this and you're still holding yourself together. It's your strength. It's not your weakness. How can it be your weakness, right?
True.
Right? So for me, the thing is, I feel like why most of the people, whoever who's going through similar situations, why they don't come out, why they don't talk about it, is because they feel that, fear of judgment. That's one thing. The other thing is that they feel like people might not be interested in listening to them. That's one thing, right? And people are unable to relate or have empathy towards them. So what I felt, there was something off. So I said, I've been, going through this. And then she started sharing her stuff as well. She was like, she was going through the same thing. So she has a sister, and it's her and the mother, and they get beaten up by the father. Father. So I asked what exactly is the reason, and then she said that he's an alcoholic. He gets drunk every day after work, and then he comes and lets out his frustration on these three females. So then, since I was also going for these international relations classes, so the lecturers who came and basically lectured us were from the UN, activists for women rights. So when they teach about all of these topics, they would also say that if you're going through such things, you need to seek assistance, right? And they would give, like certain institutions from where you could seek help. So then what I said was basically to her, it's not wrong if you have to go and complain about your father to the police or probably a different maybe another authority for your own safety. And for her, it was not even her safety. She was worried about her sister's safety, who sister who was younger, and the mother's safety. So I said, as the elder sister, it is totally okay for you to go and do that, because I myself have done that. I was going through abuse for so long, and then the moment I moved out from my house, then it was my sister who was targeted, and then she was going through the same thing. And at a point, I think she was not strong enough, because she's extremely young as well, and I can't expect everyone to be like me. That is not fair. So she kind of started losing it. She started going and banging her head on the walls. and then she was feeling suicidal. So then I thought, okay, one instance, my mother was getting beaten up because my sister had gone to visit my maternal grandmother who lives just 4 houses away from my home, and I actually had to go and lodge a complaint against my father for my sister's safety and my mother's safety. And a lot of things were told to me that I'm not a good daughter. Relatives would say all of that. It's your father, he's beating up for your own good, and all of that. I mean, how is it good in case if something, the timings are bad, right? And obviously, men sometimes they are physically, I would say, they're physically stronger than women. Just one wrong slap, it could even, make you to go into paralysis. Then what's? Is it then for
when
your.
there is no right slab as well. She was
Correct.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
there is no justification, and I'm really sorry that you went through this, and but you managed to actually help someone else.
Yes. I help someone else and I help my own mother and sister
You're
as
so fucking strong. I can't imagine how you managed to stand up not just in front of your parent but like in front of your whole community and actually demand what's yours, like safety. It's so empowering, honestly.
well. Thank you.
And now I mean, I'm having a lot of complex feelings right now, but like one of them, because I'm also a feminist and this stuff makes me feel very angry, like I still don't understand how we're in that age and we still have to go through this and try to convince people around us, oh, it's not right to hit people, it's not right to hit your, and of course it hurts so much more when it's from your family, but like how are we still having this debate, how is it still okay? How are these people not, how there are not stricter rules to impose so that this is not okay, it doesn't go for long. So but the fight is very long, the fight is not over on this, and I guess maybe that's one of the things that fuels you into wanting to study about the world and have an impact, because I feel from your personality that you want to do big things, you want to achieve everything. I feel like there is no limit to your ambition. That's the message I'm getting across from you right now.
Yeah, for me, like I told you, like when you ask me like what I'm curious about, so when I say about global affairs, there's no specific thing there, right? So it's like a very vast, a very broad topic. For me, I don't want to confine myself there as well. And I feel I'm just telling you, I can't talk about global stats because I really have not done my research. But in terms of Sri Lanka, I can tell you domestic violence, okay, is happening, according to my research, is happening mostly in urban areas. And urban areas, it also includes the capital of Sri Lanka and it also includes the business hub, where there is like a huge population of people who are educated, right? So if people are educated, then my question was, why is there domestic violence happening?
So you wanted to navigate the relation between, is it lack of education and awareness or what, right?
Yeah, so it is not actually lack of education because now the highest number of domestic violence cases are basically reported from urban areas. And when you talk about urban areas in Sri Lanka, there is a huge educated population there. But still, there's domestic violence happening. So then my question was why? Then I went again to the next step and I basically went and saw the reason is people are educated, they know that this is happening to them and this is wrong. But the problem is they go to the wrong person or wrong people seeking for help. That is own family members. So what the family members would do is basically they would try to say, "Oh yes, yes, yeah, it's your husband, it's your father, he's beating you up, it's for your own good," and they try to just neutralize the situation,
Hmm.
right? But what they don't understand is the fact that there is no solution because this is happening all over again, right? And I can't blame, you can't quite necessarily blame the victims for going to a family member
Yeah.
requesting for comfort, because that's the first step, that's what you would do, you would go to a family member, right?
Yeah.
And if the family members can't give you proper advice, I would say don't go to them. And if you feel like they're not giving you a proper solution, you have to go beyond that. And that is basically seeking help, advice from legal institution.
Yeah.
The reason is why these domestic violence cases, why it just gets swept under the rug is the fact because mostly the victims of domestic violence cases are women. right? So they really don't go to the police station or any legal institution to lodge a complaint, because the moment you go, people try to look down on you. I mean, how can you be wrong, and how is it a shameful act to go and lodge a complaint against your abuser, even if it is a family member, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So because of this, now even my mother was very against this. When I said I'm going to go to the police station, it was like, no, no, what will the people say? What will the family think? It's not good. It's not nice. It's not good for your father. It's not good for the family name. So getting abused every day, is it good for the family name? Is it a good thing? Is it the right thing? No, right?
Mm.
So isn't it shameful for you to get abused for no reason? You haven't done anything wrong and you're just getting beaten up for no reason. Is that not shameful? It's shameful, right?
Yeah.
So I told my mother, I said, you say whatever you want. I know you're someone who will basically succumb to all these things which your family would say. I said, but I'm going to go because they are not giving a solution. You're not safe. My sister is not safe. No one is coming forward. So it's fine. This is the only way. So that is why I would tell whoever who is going through this, don't even feel ashamed if you have to go and seek assistance from a legal institution or from the police if you're going through such situations, because you have to think about your safety. And if it
Yeah.
is not only you, if it is someone else who is also going through a similar situation, it is their safety as well. So it's totally okay and it's all right. People are aware, right? There is knowledge readily available throughout the world now. But how many people use this knowledge when it's required? I mean, I don't see the purpose of knowledge if you can't use it or if you don't use it, right? So now for me, I learned international relations. I spoke to all these activists because they were my lectures. I spoke to all people, and I felt whatever that was happening to me is wrong. Whatever that's happening to my mother, my sister is wrong. I learned something and I just followed it. I didn't care what my family said. That is me using my knowledge for the benefit of myself and for the benefit of my sister and my mother, for their safety. That's my justification, nothing else. I'm not going to go anything, not going to say anything beyond that. What I see is today, people, they take a degree, but it's mainly just to get a job. It's not only about getting a job. It's about how you enrich your life, how you enrich other people's lives as well. That's what I believe in. And thing is, education without purpose is useless. That's what I feel. Mostly when you're really small, you know we are constantly taught about maths and science and all of this. We put a lot of emphasis on that. But what about the humanity side? What about the ethics? Right? It does not matter how educated you are if you're not a good human being, if you do not have good morals, right?
Preach. Shimaz, I want to ask you now, what manages to like inspire you to be your best self and like keep you going?
For me, it's a couple of things, Salma. One thing I think mostly that has contributed for me to keep going is the kind of adversities that I've gone through. Apart from that, I think it's also my accomplishments, because adversities remind me, okay, I've gone through these things. I've overcome all those, and today I'm here, and I've dealt with it in a uh, way, I think, sensible way. And from that I derive inspiration. And apart from that, the accomplishments, I mean, it could be it's something very subjective. It could vary from person to person, but for me these are the two main things that I derive inspiration from. My accomplishments, it could be a small accomplishment. It might mean nothing to another person, but for me it could be everything. it, it's
Yeah.
it's about my life. It's about my sense of fulfillment, my sense of accomplishment. And I have to define what is success in my own terms. So even success, it could be different things to different people.
What is success for you? How do you define it?
For me, success, again, it's many things. One thing I would say is the accomplishments, and also about what I could give back to the community, to the world, even if it is in the most, I would say, smallest possible way, and also my intellectual growth.
Hmm.
Today, I'm in a certain position in terms of my knowledge, but tomorrow, probably in a year's time, where would I be? How much have I learned? How much have I used from my knowledge for the betterment of myself and at least to help someone who is in need?
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's my interpretation of success.
Where do you self educate?
Reading books, reading things online. And apart from that, I also actually watch different topics. If I need to research, I would basically go and watch things on YouTube. These are my sources. But I read a lot, I'm telling you. So, and also, I think self education, it's also from my life experiences.
Of course, of course. What's the best life lesson you learned from a book?
I love this book called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
Hmm.
It's a personal development book written by Robin Sharma, and it's about a monk and the kind of things he shares with people, to
Hmm.
bring the best out of them. So he was like a very rich person, but he, sort of left all his riches behind to become a monk. That sort of book. So for me, it's like believe in yourself, don't listen to others. The world might say that you can't do. It's
Hmm.
okay, let them say whatever they want to say, but you have to first believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no one is going to believe in yourself.
Hmm.
So that's one thing. And hardships, adversities, setbacks in life, I mean, I would say are part and parcel of life. And that sort of prepares you for the future that you deserve. So I think when you come across such a situation, don't feel depressed. Always think that it's happening for a reason. It's going to bring the best out of you. Like for me, it has helped me in many ways. I think I became very vocal, I became very brave. I feel like that's something that I've learned, and those are like my biggest lessons. I don't listen to anyone, I believe in myself. I feel adversities are happening to you for some reason. It's going to just prepare you for the future that you deserve. It brings the best out of you. And I also like to sort of flow with life. Some things, how much you do, sometimes you might not reap the results then and there, but you have to be like patient, optimistic, believe that it's going to happen someday. But until then, you're going to flow with life, because
Yeah.
life is there to flow. You can't, like sort of control it. Only what you could control, or what is within your control, is how you respond to it. So you only have to focus what is within your control. Anything else, you have to just let it go and just flow with it.
Fight for your life. That's amazing. What's one question you wish that I had asked you and how you would have answered?
Like, what is like my biggest fear?
Nice. What's your biggest fear?
Just a few, I would say, not one exactly. I would say not living to my potential. That's number one. Number two, I have this thing like every day, like when I pray, this is something that I include in my prayers, because we are human beings, and the bitter truth is that we have limited time. We are all going to die one day, right? I just want to give a good life to my parents, especially my mother, because she has sacrificed a lot. I want her to be happy. I want to make her happy. So I always have this fear that I won't be able to do that, because either I might die soon, or either she would die soon. Like before, I would get to that, position or place where I would able to give that kind of life that she deserves. So I always, like in my prayers, ask God, like, please, don't take my life or her life until I'm able to do this, for her, sort of a thing.
Hmm.
So that's my second, fear. And the other one is like before I die, I have this thing. I would want to do something, at least small, give back to the world. When it's a community or society or whatnot. Life is short, but like I'm just doing my best to get there so that I would be able to do something.
Shimaz, I feel like you've already accomplished so much. How old are you?
I'm 30.
Yani for a 30-year-old woman, you've accomplished so much for yourself, and you should always be proud of yourself for everything. You still have plenty of time. I know it's like, this is stuff that people tell me as well when I feel, oh my God, I'm so old now, I'm 31. But yeah, it's true. You have plenty of time to do everything you want. And I'm really, really in awe of you and your story and your passion and everything about you. My last question for you is like, where can listeners find you online?
I'm available on Facebook. I'm available on Instagram. So my name goes as Shimaz Rafique. So you would be able to easily find me.
And you're job hunting right now, right?
Correct.
For which field? Or what is the job title you're looking for?
Like I told you, I've been in multiple industries, right? So I'm more or less, I would say, I'm more keen on a project management, product management role, because it also involves, being analytical and building relationship with different teams to get the project going, and and stakeholder relationships. So I enjoy it a lot. That's current job role that I'm looking for. But like I told you, in the future, my ultimate goal is to have something in international relations.
Well, you're an asset for any company. I feel from your energy, it's a given. And I wish you the best of luck with that. And thank you so, so, so much, Shimas, for agreeing to be a guest on my podcast today.
Okay, and Salma, there's just a couple of things that I would like to say as well before we wrap up. So, I am extremely thankful to you and grateful, and I feel like I'm honored to be a part of this, podcast. And I think you're doing an amazing thing by creating a platform and having this platform where people like us could come and talk, voice our opinions, or share our life experiences, or even knowledge what we know. I think it's going to be of immense help to those who are going through similar situations. So I think especially us women, we are going through so much, and I think us women, we have to look out for each other.
Hmm.
Men say that I have some sort of an affinity towards women. Yes, I would not deny it, because I think
I'm
when
not denying it as well. Oh, let them say, yeah, I'm biased. Of
yeah.
course, would be biased.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, I would love to see women, flourish, thrive in whatever they choose to do. That's my intention as well. Like going forward, something to do, for the betterment of women and children, because we deserve much more. And unfortunately, we have to, fight for the place that we deserve, or to get certain things in life. We have to fight for it. It's not easy for us women. I think I'm extremely honored, and I consider it a privilege to be a part, because I've never ever been invited to be on a podcast. So I feel that whatever that you're doing, it's really remarkable, it's incredible, and it's going to actually change people's lives, whoever who is listening in, one step at a time. And I think that's what's needed, creating awareness, and sort of encouraging each other, empowering each other. And I would obviously, love to see us all women, flourishing, thriving, excelling in whatever that we do.
Shimez, I I cannot like so don't make me cry, please. It will be the first time to cry on my podcast, but like thank you so much. Thank you so much. I needed your dose of energy today more than you know. It's amazing. I am the one who's very thankful to you, honestly.
Thank you so much to you as well, and I'm really grateful. And I hope whoever who is listening in would, have things to take away from this discussion today. And I hope, as much as it's informative, interesting, I hope they enjoyed every bit of it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.